Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be while you're watching this video. I'm Dan Sola, the president of STA, and I'm here with Paul Marquis, our principal. We're here to answer some questions that we've had on Aquinas 2021 as we get to open, or looking forward to opening in just a few short days, August 24th. STA welcomes a wonderful new class on our campus. Molly Wade is here. Behind the scenes, our Director of Communications, and she'll be asking Paul and I a number of questions that you have submitted to see if we can help clarify what we're doing and what the year will look like. So Molly Wade, ask us away, and Paul and I will kind of divide these up the best we can and hopefully be able to answer all of your questions so we all know where we're going together forward. Molly?
Great. Our first question, Mr. Marquis, perhaps we'll ask this for you. Is there an option for students to remote learn? Maybe students who need to quarantine or who live with a family member or an adult who has, is immunocompromised. Can you speak to any options for remote learning?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Wade. Again, I think one thing that we've really moved towards and are very excited about is our opportunity to return to campus on the 24th of August. We know, and it's stated in our mission, that we want to strive to provide individual opportunities for all our students, and one of those very well may be providing a remote option. We are open on campus, and we expect that that's where the majority of our educational opportunities will lie, but we do also recognize and understand the importance of individualized education opportunities for our students. If you feel that you are immunocompromised, you have some issues that need to be addressed individually, we welcome those and we look very forward to communicating with you regarding that. We have lots of very exciting, innovative new equipment that's coming into school. We have microphones that will allow for synchronous learning for students that might be remote. We are looking at continuing to develop our teacher delivery systems. We do think that the fantastic staff, faculty that we have here can provide opportunities for the still robust learning that always takes place at St. Thomas Aquinas.
Great. Mr. Solar, perhaps you could speak to what would be the threshold by which St. Thomas would need to pivot to remote learning?
Pivot to remote learning. Well, the way this would work, hopefully and prayerfully, we won't have any cases of coronavirus, and we'll be able to move forward and we'll find our way together. You, our students, and all of us here working at STA as we adjust to each other and with the schedules. But should a case follow us, should somebody be positively identified with the coronavirus, then we will follow the lead by law from the Department of Health. They will take over. We will work with them on contact tracing, new words that we're all familiar with, and they will determine and recommend what is the best steps. That may be as simple as a quarantine, and then we would go back to the principal's comments that person quarantined would still continue to learn at home, and we'd be able to push out independent study in that regard, or it may be a larger quarantine. We don't know. The possibilities are numerous, and that's be prepared for everything and anything, and we feel we are in that situation.
Great, thank
Molly,
you.
give me another question, Molly.
All right.
I'm rolling here, I'm warming up, Molly.
Could you please speak to St. Thomas's ventilation system?
Ventilation. I think when I hear that question, and I know it's been a common question, I look at the whole. By that, I mean, what are we doing here as our primary, our secondary, and even our sub-levels of safety protocols. So I would take ventilation as part of the whole. If we had to be specific, we are ordering and have ordered HEPA filters, so they'll be out through the schools. But our primary defense is in our scheduling It's how we're distancing our classes. Masks is required for everybody. The scheduling in the hallway, our lunches. And also I would add is the principal has scheduled that our first period and our last period has an option of opting out of the school. By doing that, at any one day, STA's footprint of students will be reduced by about 100 students. So it's very significant when we take that ventilation and we add this, and we add this, and we add this, which is really the plan that we have for the school.
Great. So mentioning the schedule, Mr. Marquis, could you explain a little bit more in depth about the schedule, the blue and white days, etc.?
Absolutely. So our schedule is designed for on-campus learning for all students every day. So the blue and white day just differentiates the first 4 periods that are on a student's schedule and the last 4. Blue day would consist of the traditional A through D course scheduling. The white day would be the E through H. Again, students receive, when they look at their schedule and see that period A, they're assigned to a theology class, that will be a meeting on a blue day. When they see that their E science class is scheduled, that will be on a white day. Now you've also seen that we have scheduled the first 2.5, the 3 months from August to October, and noticing that the schedule does rotate. Again, this is due to many different reasons. One being we want to provide the opportunity for students to learn in the very best way they can. There's lots of research that says that the cycling of a schedule promotes opportunities for student growth. It allows the teacher to meet with their students in different times during the day. So you'll see that on a blue A day, we meet A, B, C, and D. The blue B day, we just cycle the 3 classes, A, B, and D. Notice that C will not move, just as G will not move on the white day, because that's our lunch period. So on a blue B day, it would go B, D, still 3rd period of the day is C, and then A. Those lunches, we now have 4 dedicated lunch periods. Students will have an assigned lunch due to what teachers have recommended for their classes, what might fit best for their needs, whether that's the first period of the first lunch period, going to eat lunch and then returning for a full 80-minute class, or splitting like in the 2nd and 3rd. And that would look the same on an A day. But again, as President Solar mentions, students, if they are scheduled for a study hall, that's their opportunity to arrive late or leave early. Again, it's not free periods, again, study halls. So again, the opportunity that students can have as we cycle through on an A day, A period study hall, they can arrive 80 minutes later than the rest of the student body. Same thing on a blue day. If D is their study hall, they can leave late. And we are opening that up to all students, not just our seniors who have had senior privileges over the past several years. Again, we do have opportunities, and we have everything in place to where students when students can't leave. We have locations for them. We are assigning study halls, and the cafeteria will be used for location. But we feel that the schedule allows for limited contact. There's in essence 3, potentially 4 cohorts that the students will be with. The same for our faculty, and then opportunities to contact trace that much more easily, as opposed to the 6 period with multiple transitions.
And Paul, let me jump in to combine those two a little bit with the ventilation schedule. We are promoting significant mask breaks and timeouts, if you will, within the schedule. Weather permitting, the students can be outside or be in the cafeteria, the gym, wherever where they can socially distance and let's say get a breather from the mask. Am I correct in that?
Absolutely, President Solar. We feel that the opportunity, we're keeping the Saints block in the schedule. That might allow for certainly the community piece that we feel is so important and so valuable for our community. It does allow for the opportunity to go outside, have mask breaks. We are going to promote with our faculty that with an 80-minute class, then there may be some time that they step outside, receive some break from the masks as well.
Thank you. Molly, give us another question.
All right, well, focusing on those students, what items can they bring each day? What items should they leave at home? And along those lines, maybe you could speak a little bit to how the transitions will work with bathroom breaks.
I'll start, and perhaps the principal can join in or correct me as I go. But I know there's a lot of concerns about backpacks. One, I've been saying for years, professionally and personally, that these backpacks are getting bigger and heavier every year on a good day. So I know that's of concern with no lockers. But my feeling is that we'll find our way. That'll be a little bit of my theme. You may hear me say that a few times. We'll all find our way. I think some students will have two backpacks, one for this day, one for the other. I think the others will have to be more focused, more diligent on taking out the books of the day for the books of the next day. From my perspective, of course, I'm not the one carrying the knapsack, which I'm very well aware. I think that's, again, a situation that we'll all find our way, and well, I think we'll find it works fairly well. You may have a different perspective, Mr. Principal.
Absolutely, and certainly the transitions is something that we really dug deep in as we moved through our task force work this summer to find the best way to return to campus. With the fact that there are a maximum of 4 classes per day and fewer transitions, it allows for less congestion in the halls, less of those opportunities for contact. As President Solar mentions, the order of the summer has been flexibility and fluidity, and we feel that our faculty will be very flexible with what's to be expected in the backpacks and what's to be expected on what's brought home and how we can provide electronic means for student education. Again, as Mr. Solar mentioned, students will, I think they'll figure out how to best meet these needs, whether it's adjusting with a white day and a blue day backpack, bringing fewer items each day, maybe one 3-ring binder that they can record their notes in throughout the day and then return home and organize into subgroups of English, science, social studies, math, whatever it might be. So again, I think the expectations will be diminished as to what maybe they're bringing each day and every day, but also the students are very, they can adjust on the fly.
And Molly, did you ask about bathrooms as well?
Yeah.
Probably goes hand in hand with how does all this transition work. And I know that we have said in our written documents that trips to the bathrooms will be limited during the transitions. Well, let me first say the obvious, that bathrooms are obviously a necessity in our lives, and they will certainly be available as needed. But what we're trying to do by establishing some guidelines is if we have to do tracing, if we want to know where Molly Wade is, where are they? So that we have a little better understanding without being Attila the Hun like, where are we within the building and in the complex. So that's really the gist of the rules. I think from my perspective, we'll be pretty strict on the rules, but again, to be a repeat, we'll find our way. We'll find our way. I don't know if you've had anything to add.
The President mentioned some contact tracing. We feel we'll have a much better grasp as to how we'll be able to do that with knowing where students are throughout the day. Part of that is faculty, teachers will all have binders that we're able to provide the state if and when we need to do any kind of contact tracing. If we open the bathrooms up during transitions, then we lose that grasp on that. Students are going to be able to go to the restrooms. 80 minutes hopefully allows for that much more flexibility for teachers and for students. And we understand that there are many needs that we are going to continue to look at and adjust as we move through our year.
That's great, and maybe at the end of this segment, we'll wrap it up with, can you just talk a little bit about lunch? What is lunch going to look like? Will students be allowed to sit together?
Lunch is gonna be absolutely delicious, Molly Wade, so that's the first thing.
Well, that's good.
Lunch is always one of the things we all look forward to, but we have a number of new protocols in place, from how we sit to dividers. But it is an area that students will be able to relax more and be able to socialize, certainly more than being at home. Paul, you want to touch on that?
So in discussions with our lunch provider, Chartwells, there's several new initiatives that we're going to be bringing in. One is that everything will be, any kind of purchasing will be done with
My school.
Card.
my school bucks, NutriKids, et cetera. Students and families will put a certain amount of money on an account. It'll be managed that way. There will be no cash transactions. A lot more of the offerings in the lunchroom will be more of a grab and go, maybe more similar to a college atmosphere where it's prepackaged meals. Several teachers have offered their classrooms for lunch. We are opening up, of course, outside during the beautiful fall months, outside options as well. And again, with the 4 dedicated lunches, we feel we can diminish our footprints in the lunchroom and still provide opportunities for students to relax, take the masks off in a safe environment where they can communicate, socialize with their friends here at St. Thomas.
Okay, Molly, I understand the question is on athletics right now. Great question, and obviously one, since 80% of our student body participates in athletics. As an aside, that number is unbelievable by any high school standards, and one we're very, very proud of and shows our great community. And I think that helps feed into our statistics of 100% of our students going on to higher education or other vocations. So I think when we put all of that together, it helps add up to that wonderful STA education. More to the point on athletics, our intent is to play fall sports. Our intent is to move forward. We're looking at our schedule now and seeing our options with other teams, with other schools. Now, there are some caveats to that. It has to be done safely, it has to be done properly, and we have to go sport by sport. I think the principal probably has a couple of views as well as how that merges into our academic picture. So you want to address this one?
Thank you, President Solar. As with everything throughout the summer, we're taking guidance from so many different places. None of these plans have been made in a vacuum, including and especially athletics. The NHIA, the governing board, I guess you could say, of athletics in New Hampshire, has continually provided insight, guidance, and they've released a few different protocols and procedures in place. We're in phase 2 currently. Athletes are currently involved in training, non-sport specific. It's gone very, very well, and from all indications, it's keeping our students healthy, refreshed, getting back to some kind of normalcy. The NHIA has moved the beginning of the sports season back. I think a very insightful idea as the beginning for phase 3, I guess practices, official practices won't begin until September 8th. With that, we'll have a couple of weeks in and under our belts with our plan. our Aquinas 2021 return to learning and plan. And so we'll be able to best meet, I think, the needs of our athletes in our extracurricular activities. As Mr. Solar mentions, we are expecting and planning for full return to athletics. The NHIA is continuing to collect information and data as to what schools are going to provide what sports. What that looks like for our schedules is completely up in the air. We know that we're probably, we know we're changing our schedules as some activities would have started prior to September 8th. So whether that means we're going to be handling a schedule that's more locally based, more regionally built, is still up in the air. The fact that the NHIA is removing the mandates that a team needs to have a specific amount of, or minimum amount of games, the fact that the NHIA is removing the tournament procedure and it's going to be an open tournament allows us to be very, very flexible with our scheduling, with our opportunities for student experience. The NHIA states and recommends multiple days in between contests, again, to provide the opportunity for students to prioritize their academics as well. So we're really, really excited about where we are for athletics. We feel that we can provide opportunities for our students, again, as Mr. Solers speaks to, the fact that so many of our wonderful students are involved in athletics and extracurriculars really gives us a flexibility to do lots of different things with them this fall.
That's wonderful. Speaking of extracurriculars and student activities, can you speak to what the fall will look like as far as events, things like Spirit Week, Homecoming? What can we expect as families to see this fall?
Well, we're going to keep as many activities as possible on the books. That's probably our commitment and the best commitment we can make now. We're going to evaluate our planning along with an everyday shift. We are going to formally evaluate our plan to know where we are and what events that we can do. Just like athletics, we're committed to doing athletics, but we understand there are some protocols and some hoops that we're going to have to go after. So, long story short, our intent is as many events as possible that meet safety guidelines, we're going to do. We're committed to in-person, we're committed to the interactions that meet those needs. But again, that'll be a constant evaluation process.
There's so many different activities and events that really make St. Thomas Aquinas what it is, and whether it's the coffee houses or the Spirit Week activities, we're committed to providing the opportunities for students to experience those wonderful community events. What they look like, as Mr. Solar mentions, is still up for debate, but it's one that we really look forward to having, those debates and discussions, and how we can continually provide opportunities for students to explore and expand their horizons.
Wonderful, thank you. So there were some questions about screening. Everyday students come to school, they'll be screened as well as faculty and staff. Can you sort of describe what that looks like and mention perhaps the application that people will have?
I think the screening that most people are referring to is how are we screening before you get into school. That screening process will be done with technology, with a modern app called Health Track, which everybody will do at home. It's a very simple and easy process, particularly for our students, where they will go on and answer a set number of questions, and their temperatures will be required to be taken and logged every day. So this will be done before they get to school. When they arrive, they will show the app that it has been completed, part of that process, that app process. Those who have forgotten or for whatever reason didn't do it that day, we will have a secondary process to take temperatures here on the campus. I think that's mostly it for the temperatures, and athletics has a different protocol where temperatures can be taken both at home and on the field, and all the other things. But I found most of the tone of those questions to do with the older.
And again, President Solar and community, certainly everything ties in together, and any domino that falls knocks over so many others. But we know that students want to be in school. We feel that attendance has always been something that people take pride in over here. I think that changes a little bit in this pandemic that we're in. Perfect attendance is no longer something we're going to be promoting, let's say. I have allergies, and for the last 25 years, if I had a little tickle, a little cough, I probably came through and I came into school and dealt with it very easily. That's no longer the case. And again, what we're putting in place for the synchronous learning should allow students to feel more comfortable with staying home. With being able to remotely keep up with what's going on in the classroom. We know that getting students into the building is going to be a challenge. We feel that with the opportunity for a late arrival, it helps. We're going to, again, continuously review our procedures. You've seen that we have a prior to 7:45 plan where your student can go, how they can be managed. We also have that 7:45 to 8 o'clock, and by opening up multiple doors, multiple access points, we feel that that's going to allow us to get the student body, the faculty into the building. The Health Track app appears to be a very, very useful tool for managing that, keeping it very easy to track where our students are daily. But we do know that this could be very fluid, and we may explore as we move through the first few weeks doing something different. But we do feel that application is going to be quite useful for us.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
Molly, give us another question.
All right.
One more, come on,
All
give
right.
us one more.
Can you speak to enrollment? How's enrollment at St. Thomas? Has it gone up, and does that change social distancing guidelines?
Our enrollment is about where it was last year. I feel very blessed for that. It's held very steady. Freshman class has come in very strong and balances out a high number of graduating seniors. So we'll be about where we were last year. And I think that question, I don't know, but I think the question comes largely in regard to space. And I think if we go back to the principal's answers in the prior show, and the prior questions, you'll hear his plan of spacing out where people are not here in the last period, they're not here in the first period. So that footprint number of our enrollment is greatly reduced. So I would throw that out there very much. And also our encouragement that is being built in with our classes of taking mass breaks and going outside and being outside the building. But enrollment, to answer the question, is about the same as last year, so which I think is very good, particularly where we are today. I'm not sure if I heard, Molly, a question earlier on the faculty and enrollment, but I would just say that our faculty footprint is really the same as was last year. I think we have one search still going on right now, at a little bit last minute, but other than that, we're pretty much good to go. But I don't want to never want to short circuit the principal if he has things to add or correct me on.
Well, we've worked very hard throughout the summer to try to allow for some, I guess, much more easy to manage classroom spaces. We feel that currently right now every teacher has their own space. Every teacher is, again, these are where we feel it's easy to manage, where a teacher knows that their space and how we run through our protocols of cleaning prior, post to classes, where our facilities come in and do more of a deep clean throughout the day. We're in a good place with that. Teachers aren't sharing rooms as they may have in the past. We actually still have some rooms that are available and unused. So our footprint for students in the classroom. We've had our registrar is absolutely tremendous, and she's done a very, very good job of managing and adjusting some of the very, I guess, unique situations that we've had come up this summer. We've been able to put students and teachers in a position where they're not overflowing the classroom, and I think we're in a position where the social distancing guidelines are. I know that we're in social distancing guidelines are in place, and the classrooms really can be that environment where students can really concern themselves with learning, as opposed to maybe some of the other things that are out there.
Well, I thank you both for your time and the dialogue. It was very extensive and thorough, and I appreciate, and all do our families appreciate your answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you all.